Hello, hello. Welcome to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. My name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the 5 Talents Podcast. Today, we're super excited. We have an amazing guest, one of my friends and buddies that I met recently in the last couple of years at a real estate conference. And I connected with him immediately, and I thought he would be an amazing guest for us. So Mr. Kelvin Fu, how's it going, sir?
Hey, Abel, how are you doing? I'm good. How about yourself?
Man, doing great. Thanks for asking. And I really appreciate you joining, man. It's nice to have you all the way from the DMV land, right?
Yes, DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Yeah,
I'm actually based in Baltimore, so interesting times for our city as well.
Yeah, man. Actually, that's where we met. We met at a Rodcliffe kind of like a multifamily conference, and I shared some insights with Kelvin, and vice versa. And man, I appreciate just being connected to you, and look forward to a long relationship with you, man. Hopefully, maybe partner together on something. But
yes, thank you.
Talk to you, bro. So
good to see you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me introduce at least a little bit of your story. I'm gonna turn it over to you to actually give us a full intro. But I think it's valuable for our listeners to know a bit of your background, because you've got a pretty extensive one, not only in today's real estate, but even your past, like your professional world. So you've been investing in real estate for how many years, roughly speaking?
It's almost 7 years now in real estate.
Gotcha.
But prior to that, was always in private equity investing. Investing in business first, and then real estate.
Yeah, gotcha. And so today you manage the investment and acquisition property side of it for GL Capital. So that's your company.
That's right.
Yeah. You worked previously for that real estate investment firm. So you guys specialize like in multifamily, student housing. Mm-hmm. You did mixed use properties in Baltimore, DC, Maryland, and you led the sourcing, the strategic due diligence on numerous transactions. And those ranged, if I got this right, from like 20 to maybe $50 million. You guys did.
Yes.
That's all that stuff's right?
Yeah, that's right. That was in my prior background. And then after the experience, I really caught the entrepreneurial bug, combined with two of my very, very close friends.
Yep.
That we went to school together. And then we started this firm about 3 years ago, actually almost 4 years now, called GL Capital. And we're based in Baltimore. Similar strategy. We're investing in heavy value add stuff.
And I love your buildings. Are they on some of your websites?
Yes, they are on our website. Some of the properties that, we kind of an interesting strategy. We buy buildings by the block, right? So we try to control intersections. Especially comes from our experience in Baltimore, where you kind of have to control the street and block to change the profile of the street, the character of the street. So we spend a lot of time accumulating properties and then doing the heavy value add to change the whole narrative of the street. And as a result, we get a lot of support from the city, facade grants. They want us as a strong partner because we're investing in the city, and then that's how we have really grown.
Yeah, that's awesome. And a few things, right? Before we kind of get into everything, you also were you worked at a private equity firm or a fund there in Singapore, Shanghai. You were responsible for deal sourcing there as well. So I think that's what you were talking about with your professional world. The professional side was still doing investment, evaluation, structuring, portfolio management, all of that stuff, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right.
That's an
Looks like you have
impressive
my
background.
full background, Abel.
Well, yeah, man. Wanted to highlight who you were so that people could actually realize, oh, I probably should be taking notes and learn a little bit more from Kelvin. And then today you're actively do like webinars and push content, and you're pretty social out there, providing education, for free for individuals as well, man. I think that's an
Right.
awesome way to give back.
Thank you so much, Abel. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak today. I'm happy
Absolutely.
to share my experience, kind of our journey as well, if it can be helpful to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So how many, well, let me let you introduce, kind of give us
Yeah.
the full background, but maybe if you can hit on to how many doors or how many millions of dollars you're invested in,
Sure.
I think that
Yeah.
would be awesome too, but feel free.
Sure. Yeah. So just to add on to what Abel mentioned, so I actually I moved to the U.S. in 2015. So I've only been here for about 5 years.
Wow.
So prior to that, I was in Singapore and Shanghai working for a private equity fund and did mostly, investing in businesses like consumer-related businesses. We did some tech investing as well. But when I came here to the U.S., obviously I didn't have a clue about real estate market here, and I just started learning it. And then I got together with my two partners and we formed the firm and we bought our first 8-unit property in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And then the strategy there was pure value add, right? As you can imagine, there's somebody who has no experience in the US, finding the deal, underwriting, and understanding the legal components to it was a steep learning curve. But I'm happy to say that we got through it. We built a strong network. We also do our own property management, so we really control the expenses. And then right now, fast forward in 2020, we are about 300 plus units. I guess that equates to doors in your language, right? 300 units, and then across, mostly in Baltimore. We also have properties in Norfolk, Virginia. It's an industrial property. We are also doing several historic renovations of buildings that are going to be completed really soon. And then now we're expanding into Philadelphia.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
you guys got to go check out, some of these buildings for a moment. You can see in my background, if you're watching, we're buying like garden style apartment complexes in Texas. So we have a lot of room. We're spacious, all that. But the deals that Kelvin was in, or the one that I saw anyways, was this like, it's downtown-ish, the streets going through it. It's on a corner lot, brick in the front, very historic. Right. What year building is that? Maybe you could describe it too for the listeners.
Wow, I think that building was almost 1900 building, 1920 if I'm not wrong, or maybe even older. We call it the iron. What is that? The famous building in Flatiron Building in New York. That's the Flatiron Building of Baltimore.
It looks
totally different cities, but we got a piece of that very iconic triangular shaped building, and then once we acquired that kind of formed the the lynch, like owning that corner allowed us to expand further down the street.
Man.
And we also bought another neighboring property. Now we are almost done with the historic renovation there. It's the building is called Brown's Arcade, so it has a very, very long history related to one of the first governors of Baltimore. So a lot of history that and a lot of interesting stuff that we do. We haven't had much investments in garden style apartments. It's something that we really want to potentially partner with you on, but most of our properties have been in city, near universities, near employers. So that's kind of how we figured out, our investment strategy. So we should partner up on the garden style deals.
Yeah, absolutely, and vice versa. I'm excited, but so you in the mixed use, in the student housing, in that kind of arena, you spent some time, with a larger firm, and you were specifically like sourcing, underwriting, putting the deals together. Talk a little bit of about your experiences then and how they help you today.
Well, when we do a larger deal, actually, I find that doing the larger deals is normally much easier than the smaller ones because there's scale, right? And the lenders that you deal with are institutional level. The rates you're getting are typically much better. So I really learned a lot when I was with that real estate firm. And the geography that we covered was much wider. It was the entire US, because you could really, on the bigger deals, you have a lot more, income, as well as you can, outsource the property management. In my case, right now we are buying, actually, we started off doing the really small properties. Like I mentioned, our first property was an 8-unit. So when we started out for the first year and a half, we were buying upwards of between 5 units to like 30 units. And right now we're buying 50 units and up, right? So 50 units to 200 or 300 is where our sweet spot is. But
how
I
much
think
is that in your area? How much is that a door, roughly speaking? Or what size is the acquisitions?
right, the 200 units, it's about $100,000 a door. So kind of pricey, I think, compared to garden style apartments, right? But those are if we buy, I guess light value add stuff. It is about $100,000 a door. But some of the stuff that we purchase, if there are vacant lots, we need to do a whole gut. It can be as cheap as $30,000 to $40,000 a door. And then we're spending the money to upgrade and we get the rent bump. But
Got it.
I think it really differs according to market. Baltimore is just more city living, right? And DC as well, and Philadelphia, you don't really get the garden style apartments.
Yeah. And
downtown Philly as well.
To cut you off, sorry. For the passive listeners, passive investors that are listeners, kind of something you mentioned, right? If it's a light value add, less renovation, less work, you're going to pay more per unit, which is it's a nicer apartment. It's probably generating higher income, higher rents. And then on the other side, when you find 130 or 40K a door, you're like you said, it's going to take a lot of work, some large amount per unit to renovate the inside, like new, not only probably flooring, carpet, paints, but probably in the older structures, like all kinds of other things, right? Major systems, plumbing, electrical, all kinds of stuff.
We have, I'm sure you have a lot of horror stories, and so do I. Most people think that when they buy, look at the, per unit basis or per door basis, it looks cheap, but people underestimate the amount of work that goes into finding the right contractor, managing the whole process. So, but obviously, if you do it well, the risk reward is much higher. So the returns are going to be way better. So it's a give and take. So, to your listeners, it's depending where you sit. If you prefer the heavy value add stuff, you got to take a little bit more risk, right? If you prefer a more stable one, the returns are going to be less, but you don't have to stress. No stress.
Yep. All right, it's good insight. So you were kind of. I think I cut you off right at like looking at 50 units to 200 units and kind of what you're doing today. Maybe, I don't know if that's where you were leading. I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah. So, while we're looking towards that, actually our Philly deal this is going to be, the way we approach markets is we try to do and invest in properties that are contiguous to where we are based. Like in this case, we're based in Maryland. Obviously Virginia is where we expanded because we can drive there and gain access to the property. And then Philadelphia for sure. One of my partners from Philly, so he has a lot of knowledge in that area.
Yep.
And our goal is just to slowly expand. And when we first get into a market, we try to go a little bit smaller scale. Like in this property, it's about 30 units, but it gives us a good enough scale to understand the whole process. Like in this deal, it will be a heavy value add. So Philadelphia, most of the trades people are unionized, so it's a little bit more expensive compared with Baltimore, for example, on a per door renovation. But this is something that we learn, and then going forward, as we expand our footprint, we also want to partner up with other people in markets that we're not familiar with. I think real estate, especially multifamily investing, is a team game, right? You got to leverage each other's, expertise. In your case, you're investing a lot in Texas. That's not a market I know well. So in that case, I would partner with you. And likewise, we'll be very open to new partnerships with people.
Yep. All right. Well, that's awesome. It's good to hear. So, you have taken that experience in the professional world. Well, really, you moved to the U.S., like you said, just a few years ago. Professional world, in your where was it? Singapore and Shanghai, right?
Singapore,
investment experience there. Then you worked and got your additional investment experience locally, and then you started your own business, and you did it for yourself. So maybe give some wisdom, give some nuggets for anybody that's kind of on a similar journey. Maybe they're kind of worried, they're kind of fearful. I don't know if I should start my own company. I don't know if I should do this on my own. You had some major obstacles or very different challenges than I think a lot of people listening. So I mean, if that was a journey, my friend. I don't think anybody's going to have to do that hard of work, but go ahead, man. Any insight here? That'd be awesome.
Well, yeah, it's interesting is that when I decided to start actually I came to the US knowing that I first came to do my MBA firstly.
Okay.
And then while I was understanding the US market, I saw tremendous amount of opportunity. And I said, I never want to shy away from a business challenge, right? So I just, I think nowadays, with the amount of access to information online, you can really learn an industry pretty well. But nothing beats, dipping your full body, into it, right? In this case, I started my entrepreneur journey because I really want to do something for myself and my family, right? I want to be able to control my time. I want to be able to work with people that I enjoy. Not that I don't like the people that I used to work with, but it's kind of different when you are, a partner, and then you're really controlling your time and where you spend your attention on, right? And I found it really, really rewarding. So I would highly encourage, people, to take that step, right? Don't be afraid. Sure, in my case, I didn't really have a backup plan, but I just, thankfully things worked out. But I must say it was not easy the first 2 years when I was learning the ropes. Thankfully, I had really, really good partners who were very supportive. And I think you have to pick the industry that you enter. In this case, real estate is just something that gives you really good and stable returns. One of the main reasons why I decided to jump straight in real estate is because there's underlying value, right? You own the collateral, you own the asset. I can touch and feel it, and I can see when the rent checks come in and when they go out, right? And when I started, we spent a lot of time with the tenants, understanding their concerns. That kind of built the foundation for us. Funny story, when we started the property, we did our own property management, because when you buy a small property, if you pay like 7-8% to a property manager, there goes all your profit.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to basically turn around some units, and there was this fan that was broken. Told me and my partner, I was formerly in the military, so I thought, how hard can it be to fix a fan? Oh my goodness. It took us 8 hours to fix the fan. 2 guys.
Yeah.
Trying to mess around with the wires, looking on YouTube, with fixed toilets, with fixed doorknobs, so kind of learn and assess. When a handyman tells us how much it costs to replace a doorknob, we got no. That's way too expensive. So it's fun. It's really fun for us now. Obviously, thankfully, I don't have to fix the doorknob anymore.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Hello. You're listening to the 5 Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, If you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. Well, so let me touch on a couple of things you said. I think that are important to highlight. Right?
Yeah.
You assess that risk initially. To okay, well, I'm going to get my MBA. I'm going to go to the U.S. I'm going to make it happen. Right? And you said, okay, that was a big one, and you took that leap. Right? How old are you at that point? Or if you don't mind me asking about your age.
No. Of course. I'm curious to ask your listeners, how old do I look? But
I love it. I don't want to ask. I don't want to ask myself because they'll tell me I'm 50
I was,
and I'm 60.
30.
Okay, awesome,
Yep,
man.
30.
You don't look 30. And then I know the years have passed, but
years have passed. So
I thought you were in your 30s now, man. I thought you were in your 30s now, at least.
But hey, look, we have the same hairstyle, man.
Absolutely, dude. So you really took that risk, in your 30s. You're like, I'm going to move, I'm going to take my MBA, I'm going to make it happen. And then you said you saw a world of opportunity, not in those words, but what was it that you saw that said, you know what, there's a great opportunity here and I need to take advantage of it? What was that?
Right. Well, the thing that really struck me was if your listeners have ever been to Baltimore, it's people say a lot of negative things about Baltimore, but actually it's a city that has a lot of opportunities if you know where to look. So what struck me initially was, when I first came to Baltimore, I saw these vacant properties, and then I started digging in and say, if I want to own a property, how much would it cost, right? How much would it cost? And it's less than $10,000 to buy like a property. It's in very bad condition, and I was like, okay, if I can buy it cheaply, I can probably renovate it at a decent cost. And that's, when we started, we also did, we started off doing some single family renovation flips, right?
Yep.
I think probably some of your listeners may have started with that. That's where we gain our experience. So we were doing single family, learning the trade, negotiating with contractors. Not easy. And then we started to learn who we should trust and how the whole thing works. But I just saw the properties were cheap. I've always wanted to own my own piece of real estate, and I decided to just do it. And my dream is to be able somehow one day put our GL Capital logo on a very nice building, a tall, high rise, hopefully.
You'll get it. It's just a matter of time.
We start small though.
You'll get it. It's just a matter of time, man. I'm excited for you. Amazing. All these nuggets that you're dropping. You're looking around, and that's the opportunity where some people would see that and say, "Oh, I don't like this street or this block." You looked at it and said, "Man, wow, I can probably get in this for $10,000, do some renovation, and crush it."
Right.
Just it depends on how you look at obstacles or challenges. And for you looked at them as opportunities. Man, that's great.
Right.
Another thing. Go ahead.
We didn't look at just like when we just look at a block. If there are a few houses that are in really bad condition, we said we're not going to buy one, because if we buy one, it doesn't change the character of the street. So we have to buy a few.
Yeah.
That's why we started this strategy of buying blocks, right? And then when you control the block, the tenant mix will be different, and then it just improves the neighborhood, right? And then we started our property that you mentioned in Baltimore, downtown Baltimore. We started because we control a few properties on the block. We started working with the city, and we got the police commissioner involved and say, hey, we need improved security. So we hired a firm to just take care and make sure everything is well taken care of. We sweep the streets, we clean the streets well, and then the city say, you guys are investing, we'll support you.
Boom. Man, that's awesome. And it's hard sometimes for people to see that the story that you're saying right now. I think some people, it's just hard to say, no, I can't do that. They have a limiting belief. They have a, barrier to break through, and they go, nah, I don't think I can actually pull that off. And, help somebody with a limiting belief about, they can do it, or, just having the fear, like, I don't think I can do all of that work. What would you tell that individual?
Right. I think if you have that, I think it's all about mindset, right? I think for me, I personally have always been a risk taker, right? So to me, that never seriously crossed my mind. But however, along the way in my professional career, I had a lot of good mentors who taught me, right? So I think it's about finding somebody you can trust, a mentor who's been through it and that's willing to guide you, right? And then in return, you have to provide some value too, right? So it's a give and take process. So I was really thankful to have people that I could rely on in, when I started out my career, learning the ropes of underwriting, how to do financial models. So I would say start small, right? Every day you take a step forward, you get better and better, right? As Kobe would say, you get better, right? If you saw the latest Kobe Nike ad, amazing. So every day just improve on a certain skill. Like I know my preference in terms of the entire deal process is sourcing for the deals, because I love talking to people. I love making new connections. Even now, people say, hey, with COVID, it's so hard to get into business. How would you do it? LinkedIn is a powerful platform, right? I would, send a really nice crafted email, not too imposing, but, say, who am I? I'd love to learn from you. Would you spare 5 minutes of your time? Then, when I started, I did that and people accepted me, and now I do it in return, right? When people reach out to me, I do it. I think, you have to pay it forward, because teach the people, that are coming after you, and then you continue the process and keep learning.
Yeah, that's a great mindset. I love to hear that you are, kind of that risk taker by heart, and that's kind of why you just, went after it big time.
Yep.
But still recognize, there was a lot of people that helped you through the process. It wasn't all on your own.
Yeah.
It's a team effort, whether they're literally on your team or they helped you through the years to kind of build your team with your knowledge and education. That makes a lot of sense. You also said in your story, you kind of said, you really didn't have like a backup plan. you kind of went like, hey, this is what I'm doing. And there was no, if I fail, I'm just going to work at this job or do this thing. You didn't have a backup. You went all in, like you burned the ships behind you, as they say, and you had to have victory. And that's a mindset in itself too.
Yep. It's I would say my parents were not liking my idea, but I moved to the US by myself, so I didn't have my relatives here. I didn't have any friends when I first moved here.
Wow.
So everything I did, I kind of built it from scratch. I was, even in B school, I was really aggressive in meeting people, reaching out, attending conferences, joining webinars, reaching out even while the speaker was still talking. I would stand by the stage, wait for them to come down.
Yeah.
I think you just got to do it. I mean, that's the only, you can only, you got to just do it. I don't know how else to describe it.
Are you naturally an introverted person, or are you like extroverted?
I am naturally introverted, but when I started my professional career, I was lucky to meet a mentor who forced me to go and meet people.
Yeah, that's great.
And exactly what I said, like I would attend a conference, you say, Kelvin, if you don't get a business card, don't come back to the office. And this was when I was my early 20s, and it can be intimidating to approach a speaker who's really senior in the field, right? Who's a CEO, for example. I'm like, what am I going to say to him that will make him give me his business card? Right? So I got to figure out what was interesting about his talk, right? Give him some, hey, I really enjoy what you said. I would love to connect with you, so I kind of build that habit. So I think it's about mindset, never say no, keep learning, go out and, just learn.
Those are all fantastic points. Even for today, we're not getting together in 1,000 people and listening to the speaker at the front of the room. However, there are more opportunities today, I think, to learn webinars, classes, online, virtual this, virtual that, and doing the same thing, which is, hey, I enjoyed your sharing, and this is my nugget, and you may be doing that on a small, thoughtful LinkedIn note. For some of you listeners that are trying to get into Kelvin's world and my world, this would be a great opportunity. Hit pause, go to our LinkedIn, connect with us, send us a message, and ask us for a few minutes. And shockingly enough, we'd love to spend some time with you guys. And gals. This is awesome. Thanks a lot for the nugget. So you said you love to spend some time in sourcing deals and analyzing properties and kind of in that front end process. So I know we only have a few more minutes. Why don't you talk about how you do that and share with our either passive investors or general partners on how you do it today, so they have an understanding of it.
About sourcing deals right now?
Yeah, let's just say getting in the deal flow. Like, so how do I find properties, and then what do you do when you underwrite them or analyze them?
Right. Yeah, I think people always talk about off-market deals, but frankly, I think the larger size deals are pretty much all on market. It's quite hard to find off-market deals unless you really know the principle well. But when we started, we got our deals on from the brokers, local brokers. I think you got to establish a relationship with them. First few deals that you offer on probably wouldn't pan out, but don't be negative, right? Continue maintaining the relationship with the broker. Explain to him your business plan, and just be genuine about it, because everyone's here to everyone's not deliberately trying to make your life difficult, right? Everyone's just trying to help you. If you're the right partner, if you have the right investor, you can offer on the property and get it. Right now, we lucky enough to build a team where we're doing more ground up analysis, right? Because we already know the neighborhood. So I would in the past drive around city blocks, right, and look for properties or interesting corners that I want to purchase, or have an idea that I want to change the block. And we would find on the text records, we would try to get people's contact information through various means. There are all sorts of websites that allow you to do that. And I start cold calling, right? Cold calling people. Got a lot of people slamming the phone on me. But you learn, you kind of, you know what to say and what not to say, or what not to piss people off, right? So that's how we started. And then now we have a dedicated team that looks at, the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, and now Philadelphia. We have some, tools that we built that allows us to quickly assess which properties to at least make an initial offer on. So I think we have a system in place, but that came about through several years of refining it. But we still continue to use brokers, though. I mean, they are really your partners in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. I partner with team members today, and they have a lot of deal flow, and majority of it is from brokers, and it could be quote unquote off market, but it's going to go on market if we don't make an offer or whatever.
That's right.
The brokers have the access to the majority of the bigger deals, like you're saying. Same in our market. So you get your hands on something, you developed a kind of system, something that allows you to look at it quickly and determine, do I spend more time, or do I just tell the broker this doesn't fit my model, right? Once you've gotten an opportunity and it kind of passed the initial sniff test, I think this might work. What are the next steps that you do to kind of analyze this property? Maybe, either from the numbers standpoint or your due diligence, maybe talk about that next part of it.
Right. I think the most obvious one that we do is we spend a lot of time looking at the comps, right? So there are obviously tons of websites that give you, a rough sense of the area rents that are going for. We go one step further because of the markets we're in. We usually, we would send, even I would go, or some of my partners or our staff, we would physically visit our competitors, right? neighboring properties. We will call them, make an appointment, and say, I want to rent this apartment. How much could you take me on a site visit? And that's where we really get a good sense of the property and how people are marketing in that area. Mm-hmm. And then we try to fine tune our marketing strategy. And then we underwrite the rents accordingly. We typically are quite conservative in the rents. We try to go just below market. And the reason why we do that is because most of the time we do value add stuff, right? So there's a ramp up period usually when the property is, newly furbished. We want to get people in, the property is less well known. So the way to attract people in, the most obvious way is to put it just slightly below market, right? And that gives us some runway to increase the rents over time. And we want to lock in the tenant as long as we can. Because of the geography we invest in, most of our properties are in the city or near the city hub. So usually getting tenant is not really an issue for us. There's always a ready population that wants to live near the city. So we haven't had much trouble really renting out apartments as long as we price it right. And the good thing is because we do value add stuff, most of the properties that come to us are almost new, right? Are in fact new. So the value proposition is there for our tenants.
Got it. Oh, this is good stuff. Thank you very much for sharing. I think a lot of our viewers and listeners are gonna probably reach out to you at some point, man. And if you have heard something today that really helped you, please reach out to Kelvin, reach out to us, give us a 5-star rating on our podcast review. We would love to hear from you guys and appreciate the encouragement. And on that note, Kelvin, where can our network, if they want to reach out to you, they want a little bit of your time and mind, what's the best place to reach out to you? How do I get into your world?
Sure. So I think the best way is through email. My email is kf@glcapital.io, and our website is glcapital.io. Or you can also visit our listings on glcproperties.com, which is kind of our property management website. Yeah, just reach out to me or go through Abel. I'm happy to chat with you. Abel, I have one. Since we're talking about actually my experience, I heard you're writing a book, right?
Oh,
about your own experience.
Yes, man. Thank you very much. I'm just about to finish with my first, quote unquote ebook. It was I originally started with as investor guide, right? I go, well, I guess I have a little experience in 12 years of real estate. I started in single family like you. And then, I'm invested in about 800 doors, half passively and half as a general partner. Mm-hmm. And so I put this together and, 5 pages, 10 pages, 20 pages, 35 pages later of like text. I go, I guess it's more of like an ebook. But I'm just in that final spot of like putting it together, really making it a nice product. And if you go to our website, 5tcre.com/ebook, or our education page, you'll see it on there. You can register now. I'm basically, I don't know if I'm going to like physically print it or not, but at least at this point, I'm giving it away for free for any of our first, people that are registering for that. So please feel comfortable to do that. Yeah, man, that's just kind of like
you should
it out there.
Definitely at least print one. Print one copy for yourself.
I'll print one for myself.
Feel it, right?
It's really the so I do have I have a full book that I'm working on, and that probably won't be ready till like 2021. And that is kind of like my full story, like personal, background on faith and, work ethic and professional world up till today. But it was as I was doing that, I go, man, this is kind of fun. Like I could put together a real quick investment guide. And so that's how I'm putting that out there.
The good thing is you're not going anywhere with COVID happening. So you're going to finish the book quicker than you think.
It was a good time. It was a good time to like start it. And that's actually what, I'm in my house. I'm like, well, I guess I should do this now. Hence this podcast, hence our webinars, hence all the things that we're doing, man. So yeah, absolutely. Well, hey man, is there anything I haven't asked you today? Anything that you really were excited to highlight that I just didn't get to? and if not, any other last nuggets or wisdom, and just really anything, man. Time is yours.
Well, maybe two things. Right now we're, I mentioned to you the historic renovation that we're doing for the mixed-use property. Well, I'm so excited because it's almost done. Almost took us a year and a half, and it's just, I'm so proud of that project because we restored a lot of the historic elements, and it's such a historic building. So when the time comes, hopefully, I'd be happy to, share more, do a video walkthrough. We're even thinking about doing a virtual showing, so we got to adapt to the times of COVID. So it's going to be an interesting times on how we can lease it up, but at least the property is going to look really, really nice. And when we're acquiring another property in Philadelphia. So
nice.
If there are people interested, just reach out. It's a new market for us. But
what kind of property? What's the next one you guys are working on there?
Oh, it's a multifamily property, 27 unit in right beside Temple University, just 1 block away. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna do a pretty heavy value add because the property it's not old. It's just 2002 it was completed, but we're gonna do an entire facelift.
Yeah.
So really excited about that project.
That's cool. That's awesome. Good stuff to hear. Philadelphia, different part of the world and an attractive one, and excited for everything that you're doing in the DMV area, man.
DMV and P. Right now.
DMV and P now. That's
right. There you go.
If you're a broker listening, you know who to reach out into the DMVP area, Mr. Kelvin Fu and GL Capital. So do so. Well, great, man. Yeah. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I appreciate your time, effort, and energy to give back as well. And thank you very much, Kelvin. And my name's Abel Pacheco. Again, I'm the host of 5 Talents Podcast. If you guys want to reach out, you see our website back here, 5TCRE.com if you're listening, and reach out. We look forward to having you, and thanks for continuing to listen and rate the podcast as something good. If you heard something today, put a note again for Kelvin and me, and give us some feedback. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Abel. Thanks everybody. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the 5 Talents Podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the 5 Talents Podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the 5 Talents Podcast.